Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit that subscribe button if you're new so you don't miss any of our great football content this season. This episode is presented by Uber Eats. When football makes you hungry, order Uber Eats. I do every weekend. All right, time to look at this weekend's tastiest matchup in this week's Sunday Night Foodball, brought to you by Uber Eats, a company I use all the time. Well, that was a wild late window. On a day Ann made chilly, it was raining and cool. It felt like the fall. What a wild late window. The Denver Broncos, final 5 possessions with Bo Nix. Touchdown, 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 walk-off field goal. So Bo Nix, not only did the New York Giants lead 19-0, they were totally dominating the game. Denver roars back for a 33-32 win over the New York Giants. I got to tell you, if I'm a Giants fan, I feel strangely great. Jaxson Dart on the what we perceived as the game-winning drive plays with total confidence. I didn't like the pass interference call. Considering the consequences, I didn't love that call. Pass interference is such a nebulous, hard call to begin with. But I gotta be honest about Bo Nix. I said this last week, and I said it the week before, John. First 2 years in the league as a quarterback, if you can run. It'll buy you first downs. These defenses are sophisticated. This is not the Big Ten, the SEC, or the ACC. The windows shrink. The coordinators are better. You have to pick up first downs with your legs. I thought today, especially in the second half, Sean Payton let Bo Nix run on crucial downs.
Yeah, I mean, Colin, it looked really ugly. I mean, there was a point in time, they had to score 33 points in the fourth quarter to win the game. They didn't have a point. There was a stat I saw going out of the first half that over the course of the last 3 games, that they would be dead last in third down conversion percentage. I mean, they were atrocious. They were just going 3 and out. They couldn't sustain any drives. He kept missing the big plays, and then it just flipped. I mean, the one thing you can't deny that he's got some mental fortitude. And Sean Payton, what looked like was the game-winning touchdown, they ran like a quarterback power,
Yeah.
And they just let him. If you remember a long time ago, the 49ers with Alex Smith played Sean Payton in a playoff game with the Saints. They did the same thing. And that quarterback, they should institute more stuff like that with Bo into their offense, because they've been running these deep breaking routes. He's been missing them. Keep it short, intermediate, run the ball. I didn't think they ran the ball enough. I'm with you on the Giants. Their quarterback just looks like he's kind of got a little something. I mean, he looks.
Yep.
Cam Scattaboo looks fantastic. Their pass rushers all look good. Listen, it's not going well. They've lost 2 devastating games. This is worse than the Cowboy game. But I'd say big picture, you're okay. But it looked for a second when Denver was getting shut out, and even when they were down 26-8, you're like, whoa, the Chiefs are on the transcending up. And Denver's just got some major offensive problems. The Chargers are the Chiefs just going to run away with this division? And then it's the NFL flipped.
I was thinking, John, Deshaun, because they really do, the Broncos between Evan Ingram, Mims, Sutton, Franklin, they have long, athletic, and guys that can get over the top.
Yeah.
And their offensive line is right now rated number 1 or 2 by PFF. And I wonder if Sean has so much confidence in it. He's really looking for big plays. And the truth is, this is only like 24 5 starts for Bo Nix. Okay? So it's almost like he's coaching like he's got, because Bo played so much college football, it's almost as if Sean has put a ton on his back. And because Sean Ingram's a stud physically. He doesn't even look like he looks like an NBA guy. And then Mims and Sutton, these are long, rangy athletes, and they're all talented. And so that they have the potential for big plays. But sometimes I think they should worry more about 5 yards on first down. And a lot of it would be Bo Nix packages. Because, again, when you watch him and you see it with Jaxson Dart, these guys are born early in their career. They want to run. They know how good the defense. Jaxson Dart, we thought, scored the winning touchdown. They literally called a play they said, forget Scattaboo, Bo Nix, quarterback draw. So, clearly, Daboll trusts Jaxson Dart to run. When I watch Bo Nix, I see the skeptics, but he is an athlete.
Yeah, I would run the ball more. J.K. Dobbins, I thought, looked really good. I mean, when they get on the edges with their offensive line, the young running back, RJ Harvey, looks good. How about Hufunga? I mean, has to be one of the better offseason pickups in the league. He made play after play today in the middle of the game to kind of keep
Listen,
it close.
between George Pickens' Dallas acquisition and Hufunga, those are great talents, but they're just great fits now. I mean, Hufunga was going to work anywhere. Pickens is going to be as good as his quarterback, and Dak's absolutely on fire. You know what did open it up? Jaxson Dart had one big mistake today. It was that interception. They were leading 26-16, 5:40 in the fourth, and it was an ugly pick by him. It was actually a great catch. So
it was the only way Denver could get back in the game. They were going to need a turnover. They were down 28 or 26-8, with 7 minutes left. The only way you could come back was a turnover, and he gifted them one on their side of the field.
So we've seen Bo Nix do this multiple times. I do think this is true, John. I think those 61 college starts coupled with Sean Payton's play calling, this is what we always talk about. Where you land in the NFL matters. Bo Nix, a lot of college starts in a lot of harsh environments at Oregon, at Washington, big games. All that college stuff, I think, has paid off. Bo Nix has been in a lot of close games, college and pro.
I do wonder, forever with Drew Brees, especially toward the latter end of his career, like pushing the ball down his field, his shoulder started to go. And Sean really wanted this athletic, physical guy in Taysom Hill, and it didn't quite work out. Now he has Bo Nix, who has the physical capability of pushing the ball down the field and throwing bombs. It feels like he's very inclined to throw a lot of go routes, even though it's not working, because he's been dreaming about throwing go routes for a decade. Even though, like you said, with Sutton and some of their longer guys, I don't pretend to know more football than Peyton, but it just clearly is not working. I think some of the back shoulder throws, some just, running the intermediate passing game, that's where their skill sets, especially with the way Bo's playing, because right now his inaccuracy on the long ball, he just can't hit them. I mean, he's just way off. Even on the pass that they hit that ended up leading to the game-winning field goal, I just think he kind of threw it up for two guys, and I don't even know who he was throwing it to, but it worked. And I just think down the field he's not very accurate. We're close, and he had a lot of balls batted today. That's a little concerning.
He did.
I mean, that's clearly a game plan thing with the defense. Put your hands up. He's not the tallest guy. Felt like he had like 10 balls batted. I know the number's probably like 5, but there was a stretch in that game. How many times on second or third down, ball would just hit the ground and you just have to waste the play.
But this league now, I mean, here's what it's exciting for me. I like good quarterback play. I watched Jordan Love, Jaxson Dart, Bo Nix, all great on final drives today. And I think if you're the New York Giants, I just looked over my notes. I think you have to feel so good. I mean, they call it arm and hammer. I think between Dart and Scattaboo, I like Daboll more than you. I love their defensive front. One New York team is unwatchable. I've been saying this for 2 years. I said this about the Colts for 2 years. They just got to get quarterback right. They've got players. I feel that way about the Giants. When I watch today, the Giants have a lot of guys, a majority on the defensive side, but they have a lot of these wide receiver guys. I mean, they have a couple of tight ends. These guys come out of nowhere. I mean, they play at, UTEP or UNLV, and I mean, there's tight end. I mean, there's 6'5.5", 250-pound guys. I mean, McBride for Arizona, Kraft for Green Bay. They don't go to huge schools, and they just become stars.
I'll defend Daboll on this. He clearly was the guy pounding the table on Dart. That was the guy that he wanted. He went all in on him. At this point in time, and they're not going to end up winning many games. They'll probably be a 5-6 win team at best. To me, you roll it back, even if you got to give him like a fake 1-year extension. I'm not in firing my head coach if I'm Daboll, who's an offensive guy, who's the quarterback's guy. I got to give this a couple-year window, because then you're just doing what the Titans are doing, and it's just complete train wreck. You actually have, even though in losses, a lot of positive momentum. Like
yes,
look at the team you share the stadium with. I mean, that's an unwatchable product. This is a real football team with these two young guys that is just. I would not get rid. I'm a proponent of keeping Brian Daboll right now. I don't exactly know contractually what's he going to turn down, like a 1-year extension. To get fired? I mean, he's not going to be a head coach anywhere else. To me, I got no problem bringing him back for another year based on what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I listen. There is no question if you look at what like Shane Steichen has done to Daniel
Yeah.
Jones. I mean, we see it
Jeez.
time and time again with these offensive head coaches. Do they? It's a different feel. Bo Nix wouldn't be doing this with a defensive coach. I like D'Amico Ryans. Bo Nix wouldn't be doing this. I mean, there is just it's almost like a language they talk with quarterbacks. So I think that's it's a heartbreaking loss for the New York Giants, but you can't watch Jaxson Dart and not see the energy, the confidence. Another thing is he has and I've said this before, it happens all the time. He has a better arm as a pro than he did in college. Like he makes throws now, and I mean, they're young athletes. They work their ass off, but
Yeah.
his arm is no problem. I have no problem. Jaxson Dart can sling it, but
I thought both those guys, the arm talent was pretty evident today, especially in the second half of the game.
that was this week's Sunday Night Football, brought to you by Uber Eats. When football makes you hungry, get game day deals on Uber Eats. I do every week. The official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. I just did. Okay, let's go to Green Bay 27 over Arizona 23. So again, Jordan Love had a game-winning drive. It's interesting. Green Bay can't really run. They're not getting a great push on the offensive line. Dobbs, Kraft, and Matthew Golden have been good targets for them. Christian Watson's always hurt. I don't feel like Jacobs quite has the pop this year. He's had injuries. I don't feel they run it, so they're very bad on third down. They can't extend drives. And I listen, one of my bets of the week is I took Arizona in the points. I picked 28-24 Green Bay to win close, and it was 27-23. It looked a lot like I thought. My take was Jacoby Brissett or Kyler Murray. Kyler's the better athlete. Jacoby's probably better from the pocket. So I think Arizona at home is tough. I thought they controlled most of the game. I think Trey McBride is a top 3 tight end in the sport.
Yeah.
Green Bay won. They're really young, and I tend to, like, almost to a fault, apologize for young teams. I really like Green Bay. I thought the big win for Green Bay today was Micah Parsons had 3 sacks. They got him for games like today. You score late, you need a sack. And Bill Polian taught me this years ago. He said, if you have a Pro Bowl level quarterback, you not only need a left tackle, you need a pass rusher. You're going to lead 75% of your games with 4 minutes to go. That's where Dwight Freeney came in. Dwight Freeney closed. He was the Mariano Rivera to Peyton Manning for years, and that's what Mike is. Mike is the closer, and Green Bay, you know this. They haven't had that closer on that line for years.
Yeah, totally. I mean, he was a man amongst boys, especially down the stretch, bringing him in fresh. To me, this is a game when you're playing Jacoby, who cannot move, which it's kind of undeniable. The Cardinals look better offensively with him at quarterback than they do with Kyler. They look way more efficient, but, he can't move. And if you're going to have one of the best pass rushers in the league and you're going to pay $200 million for a guy and he's got to dominate in this spot, and he did. That was my beef early in the season against the Cowboys. Like, you're spending all this money for this guy. He's got to take over games. You're treating him like one of the all-time greats in the history of the league. And he showed that today. His speed coming around the edge, they couldn't touch him. But Quay Walker, all those guys, the Packers are going to have to hang their hat on being an elite pass rushing team. Because offensively, if you went back to last year, they start slow. They did all last year, the majority, and this year he has 75 yards passing at halftime. It's like, who are you guys playing? The Arizona Cardinals. Defensively, they're just, the skill-wise, they're just not that talented. And they just couldn't generate yards. And I get it. Josh Jacobs I think he was sick. And did you see that story yesterday? They were way late. They had like a 6-hour delay.
Yes,
but it's
yes.
from a talent standpoint, they just look so slow and lethargic, and they've done this now for 2 straight years. I'm not as confident on them big picture. Do I feel good about them just being in the NFC Championship game? But their talent, their speed on offense, like you said, I mean, they got multiple wide receivers. The tight end's good. The coaching staff's good. And the talent on defense up front is just, it should dominate an opponent like this. And they get Jared Goff. They get some opponents that, not everyone's Caleb Williams can run around. Jacoby can't move. So he's kind of a sitting duck back there.
Yeah, he had at one point 14 straight completions. He was really comfortable.
He's looked good 2 weeks in a row, Colin.
Yeah, no, I was thinking watching that game, I kind of felt like, I know what Jacoby Brissett is, But what he really is a big, strong kid who throws strikes down the field. He can see the field. How many of his completions were over the middle of the field? Kyler doesn't give you that. It's like Jalen Hurts today was great deep down the field. But, you're not going to move off Kyler Murray for Brissett. But I do think when you watch Jacoby Brissett, I can see that offensive coordinator saying, we really have an NFL big franchise, sit in the pocket NFL quarterback, and it allows you to do more. Marvin Harrison, by the way, is playing better. I think there's something there. Listen, it's tight ends and wide receivers. It's not always a hit. They're not all JSN. I mean, JSN now is so much better than he was. Ibuka's a rarity. JSN now, year 2, you're like, wow. But I think I don't want to rip Green Bay because I really do think Arizona's got players. I really do think they have 6 or 7 elite players. They're very good at home. I just think Green Bay's a team that's not getting a push on the offensive line, so they don't extend drives, and they're not very good early, so they often play from a hole. And I just think this is kind of what they are.
Well, Arizona's 2-5. They could be 6-1. They literally could win every single game they play in, And this goes from the beginning of the year. They have lost some just devastating games. I was flipping around the volume, and I was on the Packer-Cardinal game, and Vilma mentioned something that I think the coaches had said, well, Jacoby works with all the wide receivers after practice. And it was like,
yes,
what was that? What are they saying there? Listen, they're not going to win many games. The coaching staff's in kind of peril now. They've already fined the coach $100,000 for something that I thought was pretty innocuous. I mean, stuff happens in high school football. This whole thing's going to get blown up. I think the Kyler Murray era is like unofficially over. Like he's going to end up playing more this year whenever he's healthy. But this whole thing's over. And this franchise, it's kind of sad because they've definitely kind of been close. They've had some talent, but it's just not working out, and they just can't win any of these games. And I think, listen, they went all in for Kyler, a 5'9" athlete who just doesn't really rally the troops clearly, and there's just something missing. And I think that you look at this game, like they just lose a lot of these games for year after year. They're in so many games. Jonathan Gannon, his record is not going to be very good, but I don't view him as like some completely over his head failure.
Same.
All their games kind of look the same, Colin.
Nope. I can't tell you how many times I have bet Arizona to cover. I was like my second favorite bet today. I was like, Green Bay is going to go there. They're going to have a lot of fans. But Arizona, Buda, Baker, and McBride, and they have good receivers, and their offensive line's okay. I think my takeaway on this game is that's why you got Micah. He's your Mariano Rivera. He closed it. He just completely, there's just, and the knock on Micah was always that he was a splash player in Dallas. That was kind of the knock on him, is that he could disappear for quarters. And he was real quiet in the first half, right? And Jacoby Brissett was really comfortable. Jacoby Brissett was. But when they needed him, he was great. Okay, this game, it's really interesting. So Chicago Bears at home beat the Saints 26-14. Saints had 4 turnovers. Chicago led 20-6 at half. It's like Chicago hired the right coach. Their defense is playing top-tier football. Their run game now, with adding those 3 interior offensive linemen, John, they can run the football. Yeah. They are clearly a run team. The passing game with Caleb was totally out of sync. Ben Johnson's facial expression, it's kind of resting, discouraged. Like he just never, he knows he's on TV. And so he's not eye-rolling. But he looks exasperated sometimes with the passing game because there's looks that Caleb just either doesn't see or can't connect. I don't think Caleb is a naturally, innately accurate thrower of the football, but the run game's real. They're playing poorly and winning in stretches. The defense has been outstanding. I think they came into the game with the most takeaways, and they got 4 more turnovers. So I look at it and I think to myself, they're on a 4-game winning streak? They're winning. They're playing imperfectly. The passing game has moments. Caleb has firepower. He has moments, but it's what we thought would be the horsepower, the jet fuel, has actually been the liability. Their passing game, I think Roma Dunze and Caleb had real connection in the first half, and it just kind of felt like it just disappeared. It's very uneven to me. Today's show brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. The pennant's on the line, lights are brighter than ever. One swing can change everything, and you can be part of every pitch at Hard Rock Bet. New customers can place a $5 bet, and if it hits, you not only get your winnings, but also $150 in extra bonus bets. Plus, every day this week on Hard Rock Bet, you get a profit boost for a postseason baseball parlay. There's new promos every day. Boost your same game parlay or same game parlay max so your bet pays extra winnings. If you want to see what everybody else is betting on tonight, right? Top picks or parlays across any sport, the Hard Rock Bet app literally shows you. It's another reason to download the app. Takes 90 seconds just for the info. Tap Discover and you can see trending picks and parlays at any time. So download the Hard Rock Bet app, make your first deposit.
To me, he had so many stretches today where it's like that hero ball syndrome of him just running around sideline to sideline on pass plays. It's like, I can't imagine. That's not how Ben Johnson wants to play. But what did he do? I was thinking about this today. Mike Vrabel and Ben Johnson both being available in the same cycle, like that's a pretty good cycle. I mean, I don't think there was quite enough competition for both their services. Ben Johnson's one of the better offensive coordinator candidates in recent memory. You could argue he's a better candidate at the time when he was available than Sean McVay was at 31 years old, than Kevin O'Connell was. I mean, this guy was the number one play caller by a mile. He was given
for 3 years.
And then here's where I give him a lot of credit. Like Dennis Allen's proven he's a really good defensive coordinator. And he gave him the game ball. I don't know if you saw the highlights.
Yep, I did.
Listen, I also think that Spencer Rattler tried to show that I'm better than Caleb Williams, and he kind of crumbled in this game. I mean, made a couple passes that were made Caleb look like Elway, some of his decisions. But I'm with you. It's not even just the passing game. It's Caleb did not look comfortable today in the pocket. He takes off. He's kind of got that older, when Russell Wilson started kind of leaving his prime, because he's running around, but there's no plays being made after he's scrambling around. It was a lot of just 360s and running around. But if Swift's going to look like that and their defense is going to play like that, they're going to be feisty. Now, can they beat? Do I trust them to beat the Packers, the Lions, in some of these games? I don't know if I go that far. You can't operate like that from a passing standpoint. I mean, I'm not trying to be negative because you win 4 games in a row. That's a big deal in Chicago. But you got to be a little concerned with the quarterback and the way he's playing. Really, over the last couple games, he wasn't that good last week against Washington, and they got lucky that Jaden fumbled the ball or they lose that game.
Here's the upside. They did dominate time of possession. And again, so much like Detroit, they're creative. They pick up first downs. With Caleb, 15 to 26, they're not asking him to do a lot, but they're dominating time of possession and they're running the football. And when they went and got Drew Dahlman and Jonah Jackson and who was the other kid? Joe Tooney. Those were elite guys. And we talked about this. You don't play offensive linemen, veterans in the preseason. So the first 2 or 3 weeks, your offensive line is all about chemistry and cohesion more than any single unit. Maybe the secondary, but it's all about cohesion. Well, from about week 3 on, week 4 on, this has been a really good offensive line. They're running the ball. They dominate time of possession. So my take out of this thing is, they're winning, and these are games they would have lost. And so when I watch a coach, there are limitations any coach has, and it's like Sean Payton. He's doing what he can with Bo Nix, which is second half, they're running more. They're often not very good early, but you can do only so much with what you have. But when I watch the Bears, I think this is a choppy, well-coached team. Caleb's right now learning the position, but it's a whole new staff, new players. I do think he and Rome Odunze have a feel. There is something there that I think it's good. Swift is a very good running back. I don't know. I think when you look at Chicago's history, beating a bad team at home when your quarterback's uneven, you got to feel good about it driving home.
Well, to me, you're 4-2. Like you're in position. If you just kind of stay 500, you're going to be in the wild card mix. Here's the other thing: what's going to translate for Chicago late in the season? It's going to be cold. It's going to be defense and running the ball. I'm looking at their schedule. They got the Lions last game of the season at home. That's outside. Green Bay at home outside. You got the Browns at Green Bay, at Philadelphia. I mean, these are cold, inclement weather games. You're not going to throw probably in some of these windy situations, rain, snow, sleet, who knows. You're not going to be throwing for 300 yards anyway. So if you get Swift, give you 100 plus yards. Ben Johnson's excellent with running backs. I mean, that was a huge thing that he hung his hat on in Detroit. And if Dennis Allen can get, because they're missing DBs. That's the other thing. Like Jalen Johnson's out for the season. He's like,
Yeah.
a borderline all pro level guy. So their DBs today were, I mean, some of the passes were awful, but their DBs made a couple just incredible plays. So
Yeah, Baird made a
100%.
big pick. Here's the other thing. Remember last year, they scored 27 points in the first quarter all year. Once again this week, they took a 13-0 lead. So again, that is a huge step, John. Last year, they could not score in the first. So I think as of now, I don't know what the number is. They scored 27 first quarter points last year. I'm not sure. I mean, I think they're now almost at 40 points for the year, and we're a third through the season. So if you just look at run game, improved. Functionality first quarter, improved. Defense, you can see the plan. When you watch them play, you can see the plan. And for the record, Caleb is better than last year. The other thing about Caleb that's interesting, and I thought about this today with Spencer Rattler, for all the misgivings you and I may have or questions about Caleb, you ever notice this, John? He doesn't throw a lot of picks. He didn't at USC. He only threw 6 last year in total chaos and dysfunction. He may drive you nuts, but he doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. He misses open guys, but he doesn't throw it to the other team much.
And this gets back, I think, hiring Ben Johnson. We've said it for so many times with the Chargers when they had these really good teams and they would hire Mike McCoy or Brandon Staley. They went cheap. Finally, you get Jim Harbaugh. It's like, okay, now you have a chance. For the first time in Bears modern day history, like they spent huge money on a real guy that every other team would want. And it's paying dividends right now because I'm with you. Like, if anyone can just corral and fix some of these pocket deficiencies with Caleb. And I also just think it gets back to sometimes smaller guys harder to see. So part of like, why did Russell scramble around a lot? Because he probably couldn't see anything. He scrambled. He got outside the tackle box. He could see. Caleb does it too. And like you said, he's not doing as many hero balls across his body to the other team. That's a win in itself.
So it wasn't one of the better games, but Kansas City beat Las Vegas 31-0. The Raiders were held to 95 total yards. And in the last month, the Chiefs are averaging 32 points a game. And I was sitting there this morning. I really believe the NFL's come down to 4 tiers. First tier is Kansas City. It looks like the best team in the league. Then there's several teams, Tampa among them, Rams, Detroit, Philadelphia, Colts, that appear to be really good, solid football teams. Maybe Denver's in there, maybe not. There's 3 awful teams, Titans, Jets, Dolphins, probably Cleveland. But then there's about 21 to 22, Jeff Short said this today on the internet, coin flips. And so we've got a great team, a small handful of good teams, a really small handful of awful, like bottom of the NBA level teams. And then most of these games are it's a lot of coin flip stuff. I mean, maybe the Raiders are awful, but today's a great so today, this is the first time all year, Kansas City had their top 3 receivers. Rice had 7 catches, Worthy had 3, Juju 3. I think I told you 2 weeks ago, keep your eye on Brashard Smith. That kid's going to end up being a really good player for them. Hollywood Brown. Now you look at their receiving core with Rice and Worthy, and you're like, oh, it's one of the deeper wide receiving cores. I mean, it was 42-17 time of possession. I mean, to me, Kansas City clearly looks like the best speed, the most depth, the best team hands down in the league. That's what my eyes tell me.
I think one major difference this year in the way they look on offense they did last year, Hollywood Brown basically missed the entire season for him last season. He adds an element of just, I wouldn't say he's Tyreek Hill by any means from a speed standpoint, but he is a faster receiver, but he can catch balls intermediate, go over the middle. He makes a lot of plays for him. To me, you put him with Juju, now Rice is back. It's kind of opened everything up because Travis looks way better. Part of last year was like, Travis looks really bad. And looking back, clearly he's an older veteran player, but everything was so condensed because they had no threat outside. So now you add Hollywood Brown, who's completely healthy. Juju and Patrick have a good chemistry. Rice now back in the mix with Worthy. You can spread the field out and open the middle of the field for 87 to operate. Because to me, Travis over the last month, I don't want to say he looks like himself in his prime, but he definitely looks way better than the guy that I thought was kind of over the hill last year. And part of it is he's not quite fast enough just to take on two guys anymore. But if he can get one-on-one coverage and just work zones and what he does best, as he's doing right now, their offense feels much more balanced. And like you said, the Smith kid, I think from SMU, they drafted in the 7th round to go with Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. Their offense just has a lot of pros. Like, not guys like, I want to replace this guy, I want to replace this guy. Maybe not like Hall of Fame guys in their peak, but just a well-rounded bunch. I mean, their star left tackle has disappeared for a couple games, got some personal stuff going on. So whenever they get him back, interior of their offensive line is excellent. Their quarterback, I thought, has been playing well all season. And today, I mean, Spags, I don't quite understand what's up with the Raiders, but Patrick Mahomes had sunflower season hat on at the end of the third quarter, which is pretty unheard of in the NFL, Colin.
Well, we've all been there. Fall rolls around. You start digging through your closet for warmer clothes, and nothing feels quite right anymore, right? Those beat-up pants from college, yeah, it's time to retire them. Upgrade to Rag & Bone's infused denim. I love their stuff. I've been wearing Rag & Bone for years. You used to have to choose between jeans that look great and jeans that actually lasted, but with Rag & Bone, you finally get both. I got 4 pair. Built to move with you, hold their shape, develop character over time, multiple fits, slim, straight to relaxed or athletic. There's a style for every preference and occasion with Rag & Bone. Not your average jeans. They overdo it by design with premium denim and construction that makes them stand out, but look and feel effortless. So premium materials, craftsmanship, these jeans are made to last, and not just for a season, but for years. I've got several pair, true investment pieces. Only get better the longer you wear them. Rag & Bone at their best. 2 decades of denim expertise packed into a pair of jeans. You'll love them. Comfortable, sharp, built to last. Infused denim is your new go-to wardrobe staple. Upgrade your denim with Rag & Bone. Limited time, our listeners get 20% off their entire order with the code Colin, Colin, at ragandbone.com. The code is Colin, 20% off, rag-bone.com, promo code Colin. When they ask where you heard about them, please support our show and let them know we sent you. Ragandbone.com, code Colin. Love their stuff. Well, AFC had their chances, but the Ravens are 1-5. The Bills have lost 2 straight, and the Chargers now are just beat up. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. If you didn't watch the Chargers-Colts, don't blame it on Justin Herbert. He's getting the hell kicked out of him, and he is just sitting back there throwing darts. But I kind of look at Kansas City, and it drives people crazy. But this league, for as long as I can remember, you can go back to Eddie DeBartolo and Bill Walsh and Joe Montana. It's a leadership league. If you're good at the top, I mean, you know, you go look at the New York Giants fall from grace. They lose Tom Coughlin. They lose Eli Manning. I don't think they were ever great at general manager, but they were capable. And it's just never been the same. It's just very hard, John, to find, as you know, there's no other Andy Reid in the league. And Brett Veach is one of the great mid-round draft guys in the league. And the Hunt family is mostly hands-off. And then Mahomes is uniquely gifted. And it's just, I always feel sort of like in college football, like if you're Notre Dame or you're Georgia and you hire the wrong coach, or Michigan or something like that, you know, one of those schools, it's easier to catch up. You know, it's easier once Lincoln Riley came to USC, their offensive recruiting got better, right? Like, and they may not win this or that, but the offense got really good really fast because he knows what he's doing. USC's a big brand. It's easier for blue bloods. If Alabama gets Kalen DeBoer, he struggles for a year, Nick Saban, it's Alabama. Like, it's a huge brand. And I kind of feel that with like Kansas City. It's like if they have a bad draft or they have injuries, they're just so smart. I mean, owner, GM, president, quarterback, like everybody's an A to an A plus. So I think the last couple of years, they can't figure out the offensive line. I watch them the last 4 weeks to average 32 a game. They look different than everybody else.
Well, they have a huge advantage, the infrastructure. I mean, Andy Reid and Brett Veach have been there the entire time. Veach hasn't been the GM the whole time, but he's been with Andy from day one in Kansas City. Their offensive line coach, Heck, has been there the entire time. Spags now has been there, 5 or 6 years. Travis Kelce has been there since 2014. Chris Jones has been there since 2016. Patrick Mahomes, the standing and the standard, it's pretty unheard of and unparalleled. I mean, it's got a little McCourty, Edelman, Gronk, Brady, Belichick, Josh McDaniel.
It's
a huge advantage they have that no one else in the league has. Even Denver, like how long has this coaching staff and this crew really been together? 2.5 years. So
Right.
the advantage they have over their competition. And listen, the Colts, Shane Steichen looks as good as any offense. If you had to give me who's the offensive coordinator of the year as we sit here October 19th, he 100% would get my vote. But like this is Daniel Jones first year there. They got some new pieces. Obviously, got some new pieces on defense. They got some younger players that are contributing. Like you're telling me in the second round, Colts against the Chiefs, even if Kansas City has to go to the Colts, you'd feel great about Daniel Jones against Kansas City? Of course not.
Right.
And he is calling. I mean, today, Colin, he was like Andy, I think early on. One thing about Andy, he's kind of wired more like a Saban. Like he's not really there to run it up. He'll call up the dogs. I mean, he's not into showing anyone up. He respects Pete Carroll. Like that could have been a lot worse. There are some
Yeah.
coaches in college in the NFL that would have tried to score 50. That score doesn't indicate what I witnessed. That game was JV versus varsity. Crosby
Yeah.
got injured, he was knocked out, and I would say the same thing for Indy relative to the Chargers defense. They did whatever they wanted. And that's the one thing Indy had. I don't know if their offense or excuse me, their defense is good enough to stop Kansas City, but offensively, man, the running back is playing as well as any player in the NFL, Jonathan Taylor. Tyler Warren, the tight end, is fantastic. They got multiple wide receivers, Pierce, Pittman. They are they're impressive. Shane Steichen's having a year.
So let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys. They clobber Washington 44-22. I mean, Dallas had almost 300 yards in the first half. And they had Dak had a great, Dallas is so good this year at the end of the first half. Like they're so good. And Jaden Daniels got hurt, came back. Mariota had an absolutely dreadful pick six to give Dallas a 41-15 lead. But I will tell you right now, of all the surprises in the league, so I picked New England to be the surprise team in the league. I feel good about it. I picked Denver and Kansas City to win that division and go to the playoffs. Chargers third. I feel pretty good about that. I feel pretty good about my stuff. I had no idea. I mean, I didn't think Dallas would be good defensively. They may be the best offensive team in the league. They're situational. They're unbelievable at the end of halves. George Pickens, outside of Hufanga, and probably including Hufanga, is the steal of the offseason. I mean, a third-round pick for that guy. They had CeeDee Lamb back today. I'm blown away by Dallas. And Jaden Daniels doesn't look right. I don't think he's healthy. That was both of our concerns when he came into pro football. Could he stay healthy? I think Dak looks sensational. That offense is as fun to watch as any in the league. It is amazing what happens with CD and Pickens both. It just opens everything up for their tight end play. Their running back, Javonte Williams, looks like the Denver guy. So, I mean, Dallas is, I don't say this very often, I am shocked about how good they are offensively.
You could make the argument, and I'm not necessarily making it, but you could, that Brian Schottenheimer right now is the coach of the year. They trade Micah Parsons, what was that, 2 weeks
Right.
before, or
Yeah.
a week before the start of the season.
Yeah.
Not a soul thought he should be the head coach, and every human being that follows football thought it was an embarrassment to name him the head coach. And then once he's named the head coach, they thought he'd be completely over his head. Well, offensively, he's the offensive play caller, and they are dominant. And then you get rid of Micah to add Pickens, who is a pretty big personality, who is going to shatter all of his personal highs. I mean, he's on pace for about 80 catches. I think his career high coming into the season was 5 touchdowns. He's already got 6. And it feels like on any given play, he can score. I mean, he's pretty dialed in. Now, I get it. He's a contract year. But those situations can be touch and go. CD comes back, seamless, just put them right back in. They hit the ground running. Offensively, they've looked like a juggernaut. Now, listen, Washington, the magic is out. I mean, defensively, they look terrible. Jaden needs to protect himself more. He's getting crushed. Obviously, they were missing wide receivers, but the magic from last year is on empty right now, Colin. And Dallas feels like they got a little bit of it. Now, defensively, are they going to be good enough big picture to compete for a wild card? I don't know that. But we all have to admit, Brian Schottenheimer has done a remarkable job as the play caller in managing this situation, which I don't want to say senile quite yet, but Jerry's pretty out there now in his mid-80s. Not an easy situation for a first-time head coach.
Yeah, and I think it's all because of Dak. I think Dak is just one of those guys. It's like everywhere Chris Paul in the NBA went, The Clippers, if you go back to when he came into the league, down in, was it New Orleans, and then the Clippers and Wake Forest and everywhere Chris Paul went, they remember Phoenix for years. They had, Booker, and they were terrible. And then Chris Paul got there and his 16 points a game and his IQ and his toughness and his distribution. It's like everywhere Chris Paul went, your basketball team got better and smarter. Like, let's just be honest about Dak. He's played so many snaps at Mississippi State and Jerry, whether it's Dez, Tyron Smith, Zeke, Zach Martin, it doesn't matter. Amari Cooper, if he's upright, they win double-digit games. I mean, I think he's been sensational, and I think it's just like anything else. I don't care if you're a dentist, a sportscaster, a quarterback. You do something long enough, you don't have to think about it. And he did this a couple times today where clearly the first two people weren't open. You're watching his head. They're not open. And you can his sense of the pocket and pressure is so good. He doesn't get nervous. And he's also a big guy. I mean, Dak, to the average person in America, even among pro athletes, Dak is big. He's thick. When guys get older, these pros, they've been in a pro weight room forever, and they also eat. And so quarterbacks aren't cut. Quarterbacks, they've got pudding. Dak's a big human being. And I just watch him when the pocket collapses. He's totally comfortable. He's just a really, really good football player. And I don't think there's I think he has really great tight ends. I will say Javonte Williams, the running back, has returned to that early Denver form. He's pretty damn explosive. He doesn't go down with one tackle.
Listen, their defense a major question mark, but the one reason I was just thinking, I can't totally write them off. The kicker they have is a major weapon. So
yes.
This is not college football. A lot of your games are just going to be within the balance of a score. And if you get 20, 30, 40 seconds on the clock and you're down, 2-3 points, that guy can hit from 70 yards. I think Burkhardt, he blasted a 62-yard field goal today. He's like, that would have been good from 80. I mean, he is, I don't think we've ever seen anything quite like it. Now, I get it. These kickers have access to the balls Monday through Saturday, but is that really making a 10-yard difference? It's remarkable whatever these guys are doing, and that guy is the cream of the crop right now because his ball doesn't even move in the air. It's just right down the middle, 65. You don't even think about it. And how good are they? Like their red zone packages with Brian Schottenheimer, guys wide open.
Excellent.
It's been really, really impressive to watch. He's, sometimes if you miss your window, I think sometimes in coaching, right? This sport's pretty fickle. An injury here, all of a sudden you go from a hot name to a negative name. Maybe, he was somewhere in the middle. He maybe got a little too hot when he was young, but he kind of fell off the radar. Remember, he got with Russell Wilson. He got fired there in Seattle. And he kind of fell off the map. But clearly, this guy knows a little something about offensive football.
Sports fans love a comeback, so the underdog that kind of defies the odds. So that's the story of Green River Whiskey. In 1918, their distillery burned to the ground, 40,000 barrels of bourbon gone. Most would have quit, and they rebuilt from the ground up on the original site in Owensboro, Kentucky. And today they're producing some of the great bourbons and rye whiskeys in the game. Kentucky Straight Bourbon, a wheated, foolproof rye. It's a lineup built on resilience. So if you love a good comeback in sports or in your glass, Green River's got you covered. Head on over to greenriverwhiskey.com to learn more. Try some for yourself. And always, please drink responsibly. Yeah, I think their red zone packages are late half are really, it's like, honestly, it looks a little bit like Denver and a little bit like Kansas City. Like there's just, when you get into a congested area and there's guys wide open, that's coaching.
Yeah.
And I think Dallas deserves a ton of credit. I want to talk about Ohtani before we leave and some college football. So the Eagles beat the Vikings 28-22. It was an interesting day because Jalen Hurts was actually great down the field. That's been the big knock. They can't run the football anymore. They literally cannot run the football. Jalen has heard what people have said. He's a super competitive guy. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. It was big game hunting. Carson Wentz is Carson Wentz. But Jalen in the end was 19-23, perfect passer rating, 326 yards, and anything over 10 yards, he was exceptional. I've kind of come to terms with Philadelphia. It's always going to be a leaky faucet. because there's some limitations. But there's so many ways to win in this league from a quarterback. There's the movers, there's the big guys. I mean, right now, Joe Burrow can't stay healthy, and we both love Joe Burrow. Like, Jalen Hurts stays healthy. Jalen Hurts leads. Jalen Hurts is pretty damn good over the top. He's got that Russell Wilson thing in his prime. He's pretty damn good over the top. He runs. He's great on the tush push. And I've just kind of come to terms with when they're healthy, they're not great at corner, but when they're healthy, a lot of their games are going to look like this. They're just going to have bad stretches. It will almost be like if the Dodgers didn't have as good a starting pitching. They would have bad stretches if they faced good pitching. Like, he's not gifted enough in the pocket to get easy completions. It feels like everything kind of feels like work. Now, they can't run the ball anymore. But I thought this game today, the Vikings off a bye at a tough place to play, Philly's a little beat up. I thought it was a pretty impressive win.
Did any two plays sum up Jalen Hurts more than at the end of the game? They ran a slant. I think it was like 2nd and 10, and he throws it behind A.J. Brown. And you're just like, oh, my God, they're going to have to punt, and the Minnesota's going to get – and then the next play they run the double move, fake the slant, and he goes, hits him in stride. And you just went all game long. He hit Devontae Smith on a deep bomb for a touchdown. Early in the game, he hit A.J. Brown. And then when it was all on the line, they put it in his hands, and he came to really on 2nd and 3rd down. They trusted him enough. So I would say it was a good moment for the OC to just kind of get everyone. They're not going to be able to run the ball because their center's banged up, who's a little bit of an overrated player, but their star guard, Dickerson's out, and their right guard situation has been in flux because they couldn't pay Becton. He leaves. So last year, their interior offensive line, we know their tackles, they had arguably the best offensive line in the league. And Saquon, let's face it, like pretty motivated last year, pretty big chip on his shoulder, wins the Super Bowl, doing a lot of commercials, living life now, life's good.
Yep.
And I totally understand. It's hard to be motivated. He got to the pinnacle. He proved to the Giants they were wrong. Maybe there's just a natural wear and tear on the tires. Like we've seen now 2 years in a row. McCaffrey a couple years ago, Saquon. When you have this historic number of touches, usually a little slower the next year. Everyone's beelining on you. But here's what you know about the Eagles and when Jalen's on. How many teams have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown? I mean, it's like, just get those guys the ball. You're unstoppable. I bet Howie's up there in the box always like, just throw these guys the ball. Throw go routes.
Yeah,
go deep. Unlike Bo Nix, he has a lot of touch on deep breaking routes.
What's amazing about Philadelphia's offense is last year they would just squish people with time of possession. They didn't have the ball. I mean, the Vikings had the ball. I mean, if you were casually watching this game in the red zone, every time you turn on it felt like Minnesota had the ball.
Carson was atrocious at parts of this game. There were
horrible
guys wide open. He was bad.
He was bad. And again, they wanted Sam Darnold. You and I know that. They wanted Sam Darnold. I mean, the J.J. McCarthy thing, he can't stay healthy. So Minnesota has been well run since the 70s, and they have, like Buffalo. Now, Buffalo's had long stretches where they were really a mess. I mean, Jim Kelly years were great. The Josh Allen years were great, but they had a lot of lean years. They had lean decades. I mean, New England went 12 years, just beat them twice a year. Minnesota's been like Kansas City. They've been playoffs or borderline playoffs for most of my life. It's just when you get Mahomes, it changes everything. Minnesota's just waiting for that great quarterback. They probably should have signed. It was hard. They gave up a 4th and a 5th to move up to get J.J. McCarthy. I think they wanted to sign Sam Darnold, but Sam's like, you drafted a guy. I want to. I mean, Sam and his agent made the right call, but now you're trapped. You kind of have to play J.J., and I think inside the building they have real doubts about it.
I think Breer talked about this last week. You kind of resurfaced. They had tried to go all in for Drake May. Did you talk about that last week on your show? Like they had offered, I think, their 2 first-round picks and the next year's number. Like they put an enormous package, and the Patriots smartly just said no. But let's face it, like they do feel now, and you have Kevin O'Connell, so you never know. Like you found Sam Darnold, like they could find a Purdy type, but they could have a little couple years of like being like the Colts right now, because you're like, Wentz definitely is not it. I mean, this is a 6 team in 6 years.
Right.
And let's face it, at this point in time, how could you have any faith in J.J. McCarthy just to stay healthy, let alone be a good player? So you watch them, you go, their personnel's pretty good. Their coaching's good. But if you don't have a quarterback, I mean, there were guys, even on the one that Hawkinson, they called a drop. I thought it was a catch, but I get the rule. he was wide open, and Carson like does this like sidearm like
Yes.
he's Chuck Knobloch, just lob him the ball and have him catch it in the
Yes.
breadbasket. What are you doing? And that
Yeah.
that cost him. And but that's like Carson Wentz, your quarterback. It's 2025. What are you going to
Right.
do? JJ comes back next week or in 2 weeks. They got problems. That stability at that position because you can watch at any moment. The players around him. I mean, Justin Jefferson's spectacular. Honestly, the talent relative to the Eagles was pretty equal. So the quarterback play, the gap was how he had to feel pretty good. I got rid of that guy for this guy, and I won.
Yeah, no question. I want to talk about this. The Rams beat the Jags 35-7, and if you watch that game, it was 21-0 at half. You were watching a great organization, a great coach, a great quarterback, and a great receiver. But it was really an organizational win. They got in 24 hours before the game. The Jags, by the way, had more yards and more yards per play and lost 35-7. The Jags had a touchdown called back, multiple sacks. I mean, Trevor Lawrence got whacked, more mistakes. I got to tell you, I watched the Rams. They are such a well-run organization. They had a seventh-round rookie have a touchdown. They had the other rookie, I think he's a second or third round, Terrence Ferguson, the tight end from Oregon. Suddenly they're deep at tight end. They're not flashy. I mean, because Stafford's not going to give you any cheap yards on the outside, like unlike a Bo Nix or Dart, even young guys. You know, Stafford athletically at this point is closer to Jacoby Brissett. He's going to sit in the pocket. And I mean, just let's be honest. Denver does not win the game without Bo Nix's legs. And the Giants don't win without Jaxson Dart's legs. Like, Stafford is a great pocket passer, but you know, there's 3 or 4 times a year or a game you'd love Matt to just take off and pick up 14 yards because sometimes the defense creates pressure, they guess right. But I'm watching him today when he's on, and he has bad halves. When Matt Stafford was dialed in today, he and Devon, I mean, in a weird way, the Puka injury was great because Devontae Adams now, he was the focus of the offense. This, I guess, take out Kansas City. I feel like McVay is the second best coach in the NFL. Football season's here, and if you want to go to an NFL or college football game, Game Time is the place for you. The Game Time app just gives you the advantage back to you, the fans. It's a hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in a few taps. I love it. Easy to use. The Game Time guarantee means you can trust you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price, 100%. So they even let you preview your seat on the app. That's special. Plus, fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay every time. Take the guesswork out of buying professional football tickets with Game Time. Just download the Game Time app, create an account. If you use the code Colin, C-O-L-I-N, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem code C-O-L-I-N, $20 off, swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today.
Yeah, I mean, I set my alarm this morning for 6:30. I hit snooze, and by the time I opened my eyes and turned that thing on, Devontae was just scoring his first touchdown. It was 14-0, and they were off to the races. That thing was over. I mean, the game was over before halftime. He is kind of an underrated MVP candidate right now, Colin. He's got 17 touchdowns and 2 interceptions this season. And, you know, when Puka comes back, he is going to be able to build a rapport. Like, one thing with Devontae, it's a little more of a timing, right? Back shoulder throws. Like, that's what he always hung his hat on with Aaron. You saw today some of those over the shoulder, some of those in the red zone. If they develop like a serious rapport, he already has it with Puka. That's pretty dangerous, you know, especially the way their defense, their front, it can just dominate the game.
Dominate.
So it's like, I was high on Jacksonville. I think they've been pretty impressive this year. That was pretty embarrassing. I didn't. They showed up 24 hours before. Did they stay on the East Coast and then just flew over?
They stayed. They practiced the Rams practice at Camden Yards in Baltimore. They came over. I mean, the first half was one of the smartest, most crisp, efficient first halves by any team this year. I mean, the Rams just marched down the field, play action, clever, a lot of double tight ends. It's at one point, I think they had 3 tight ends on the field. They used all of them. Davis Allen, Terrence Ferguson, is it Tyler Higbee, Colby Parkinson. I mean, they used all their tight ends. I thought it was such a crisp, I thought it was an organizational win. It was, and you know, McVay tends to do this. He won't play his rookies early, and the fans will complain about how come Terrence Ferguson's not playing. But tight end is difficult, as you know, because tight ends don't have to block in the NFL, you have to block. In college, you can kind of block. Now, there are some programs like Michigan, Harbaugh makes his tight ends block. Utah, Kyle Whittingham makes his tight ends block. A lot of these guys don't. So, they spread it out, and they're like receivers that are a little bit slower but bigger. But I watched the Rams in the first half, and I'm like, this is an organizational win. They're such Jacksonville's just kind of a little loose. And I think you saw one of the most efficient, well-run organizations in the sport and one of the loosest organizations in the sport. And that's what I watched because Jacksonville had the yards per play, and they just unraveled and lost 35-7.
One thing, Colin, if you look the last couple of years, right? These last 2 years, they won 10-10, right? So 20 games. He has thrown in 23 through 24 touchdowns, and last year he threw 20 touchdowns. And this year, like he's on pace for probably in the mid 30s. So if you're getting a guy with the way their defense is playing, I saw Schrager hyping up Chris Shula, who deserves a lot of credit. He's been excellent as a defensive coordinator. But if you're getting 35-ish touchdowns out of Stafford, like this isn't a 10-win team, it's a 12 or 13-win team. With that defense and that potency. I mean, Devontae Adams, he's just a pro, but he doesn't work with every quarterback. Like part of the reason him and Jimmy look so lost, or even him and Derek Carr, like their accuracy, their touch in the red zone's not the same. You saw Stafford
Yeah.
today. I mean, he can do that shit with his eyes closed. I mean, some
Well,
of those pinpoint over the shoulder, over the
yes.
DB, like that is going to be a potent weapon for them to go when Puka's healthy, that you like them in those big games, like down the stretch of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Marvin Harrison and Devontae Adams and George Pickens are great. They don't necessarily separate. CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson separate.
Yeah.
Rasheed Rice has the ability. He separates.
Devontae Smith separates.
Totally separates. But George Pickens doesn't. He's just a great player. Remember Anquan Bolden? Just throw it up. Like Devontae, I think he did separate more probably 4 or 5 years ago. But what he is strong, long. I mean, again, some of these receivers have kind of an NBA quality where big hands, really long, they're just strong. So Devontae needs the right quarterback. George Pickens has never looked this consistently good. Well, Dak Prescott's a huge part of that equation because Dak knows where to throw it. So some guys separate. That's in the NBA they always say the great players can score without a screen. They get their own shot. And I've talked to GMs in the NBA that say it's not nearly as many people as you think can get their own shot. It's a lot of MJs and Kobe's and SGAs, but Luka. Most guys need a screen. Most guys need
Clay Thompson, a Hall of Famer, couldn't get his own shot.
That's right. In the NFL, you think all these guys run 4.28s. A lot of these guys don't separate. It's everybody plays zone. Everybody can bracket. Justin Jefferson today had to catch up the sideline and just literally caught it, looked trapped, and just sprinted on the sideline. Just flew past pro athletes. You're like, Jesus, this guy is fast. Like Eagle players, he's just flying. He was trapped. He just ran right past everybody. But I think Devontae, without Puka there today, it's like, okay, this is my offense. It was a really impressive organizational win. One last NFL thought. Cleveland beats Miami, I think, 31-6. They bench Tua. Tua is horrible. No touchdowns, 3 picks. Cleveland now is 1-5. They no longer. The Jets are going to get the number 1 pick. It looks like Mendoza at Indiana, Dante Moore, whoever they pick. Maybe Ty Simpson from Alabama. Cleveland's actually functional. Cleveland is well coached. Cleveland, I think that running back out of Ohio State had a hell of a day. Myles Garrett. Cleveland's a functional team. I think they traded Flacco away because they thought they'd win 6 games with Flacco. I really do. I think they thought, God, we beat Green Bay. We're going to win 5 to 6 games here. We don't want to do that. Miami, they're not the Jets or the Titans. Miami is a disaster. I mean, to me, I'd move everybody. The GM, the coach, and Tua. I think somebody would buy Tua, a dome team or something. I mean, do you think Tua has a market?
No. I mean, he makes
You
way
don't?
too much money. No, makes too much money. Part of their problem has always been like when weather changes, they struggle, and it makes sense, right? I mean, they live in 90 degrees, 350 days a year? I mean, it's pretty beautiful. Their coach today looked so uncomfortable on the sideline, like he was cold. If he represents that, what do you think the team? Everything about one thing is Cleveland's defense is really good. Like they are not a
Great.
bad. You put their unit on like the Steelers, you'd have a Super Bowl contender. You could combine their offense with that defense. But Miami, like we knew this offseason, they told us, right? And I honestly defended Tua in his comments last week about the people late. Like it's not your job. Like it's not SEAL Team Six's job to create the missions. They get told what to do. It's the coach's job to set the discipline. So when you get all these players being late, that's even Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, like they need the head coach or the GM to set the tone in the organization. Then they can help voice it out. But like it starts with Mike McDaniel and really the GM, the type guys that you bring into your organization. So when you see these high level teams that win a lot, it's because the type human beings they bring into the locker room. And you look at Miami, like there's not really a rhyme or reason to anything they've done. And everyone's coming down on Tua, which he's not, he's having an atrocious season. But like, it's to me, it's way above his head. Like he's a cog in this thing. And he is a functional player. If he made $20
Yeah.
million, 100% someone. Problem is, he's got this enormous contract that I don't
Right.
think, unless they ate some of the money or, I'm not saying he's not movable, but he's kind of like a Kyler Murray situation. The
I
money's way
think
too
they're
much.
I think they're going to draft like a Ty Simpson with like the fifth pick. And then I think they're going to pay what they're going to do is what Denver did with Bo Nix is like, we're just going to eat some dead cap. Can we get somebody to pay a little bit of it? I mean, Denver's been fine with all that dead cap. I mean, the dead cap's funny. If you remember all the people Denver flushed out, they didn't flush out the general manager. Sean Payton likes the general manager. He could have easily just said, "I'm doing it." I mean, Denver, because they drafted well and they hit on Bo Nix, you're fine with that dead cap stuff. You just have to hit on like 4 or 5 draft picks, and Greer hasn't shown the ability to Miami to do that. But it's funny. I want to transition to college, so I watched Ty Simpson this weekend. I watched Mendoza for Indiana. I think Dante Moore is good. I think there's 3 really good college quarterbacks. Nussmeier's okay. It's just not the guys we thought. Drew Allard to me isn't a first round quarterback. I don't feel it. I don't think he has the juice. Some of it was coaching. Cabe Kludnick is actually like Jackson Dart. He can actually move. He's got a decent arm. He's talented. I don't know how I feel about him. But I was sitting there looking at the mock draft last Friday before I did the herd. It's the same teams. It's all the same kind of teams. And I I really do think I watched a lot of college football the last 3 weeks. Ohio State's the only great team. I think Indiana, Bama, and I'm going to say Notre Dame. So Notre Dame, I predicted they'd win by 10 and run the ball and they did. I think Notre Dame's good. I don't think they're great, but I don't think Ohio State's great. I think Ohio State's defense is great. I think Carnell Tate, the receiver's a sensational player. Like the NFL, I think there's one really special team, and then it's just a bunch of good. But I think I was watching Marcus Freeman, and his agent texted me because I said, you have to pay Marcus Freeman whatever the market bears. You can't let him go. Notre Dame's a better job to me than Penn State, but Marcus Freeman is what a college coach should be today. Young, handsome, energetic, recruiter, smart, just like
He's
player.
tough.
He's tough, like his teams. But I'll be honest with you. I said years ago, Nebraska's done, and I think they are. I am surprised at how good Notre Dame is. I think Notre Dame can go toe. I think Notre Dame's one of the few teams that can go toe to toe with Ohio State. I think they have the quarterback. I think they have the run game. I think they have the intelligence. It's not just that they beat USC, but I mean they ran at will against USC. They looked really impressive. Marcus Freeman. Do you stay at Notre Dame? Because I don't think there's a job in college he would leave for. I think he stays forever at Notre Dame. But I watch him and I'm like, I listen to him, I watch him, I follow their recruiting. I think he's the next college guy to go pro.
Yeah, to me, the only job I would leave if I was him would be Ohio State's where he played. You're not leaving Notre Dame for Penn State. I mean, you were just in the national championship game. They're going to make the playoffs again. Like they're going to run the table,
Yes.
and they have probably the best running back combo in the league. I mean, how good
Yes.
Jeremiah Love is just, but the backup that had the big kickoff return is a stud too. You
Love may
can
go
win
in
at
the
the.
first round. He's that good.
I think he might go if Ashton Jeanty can go 6, he can go in the top 10 for sure. Here's the thing: at an academic power, you can build it. And Brian Kelly did this. Dominate the offensive line, dominate the running backs, and dominate the defensive personnel. And that's how they're built. And that translates, especially now, these playoff games are in the first round, which they're always going to have to play because they're probably not going to get a bye. Well, they're definitely not this year. Cold environment. Well, what translates there? Running the ball, playing defense. Yeah, I actually thought USC was pretty impressive. I didn't expect them even to be that close as they were. I mean, they had the lead at one point before the kid returned it to the house. But yeah, I mean, I also think it's really, really difficult to judge these teams now. I mean, look at Georgia. Georgia couldn't stop Lane Kiffin for 3 quarters. Every single drive. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. The day and age of these dominant teams going back to Pete Carroll or Urban Meyer and Nick, they're done. The transfer portal, even a good backup and you like the coach, you just leave. So I think we got to look at it a little bit differently, but that's what's fun about this. Like Miami. You have no chance to win a national championship with Carson Beck as your starting quarterback. Now,
Right.
Can they win a playoff game? Is there talent? For sure. Are they going to win 3 straight playoff games with that guy playing quarterback? Did you see his comments after the game? He's pointing the finger at other people. That's the type of stuff that's not flying at Georgia. That Kirby Smart would not fly with Marcus Freeman. Saban would have had a conniption. I bet Mario's not happy about those comments, but you buy a guy, you pay him $7 million in free agency, he say whatever he wants. And that's where I think the culture at Notre Dame, they started 0-2. But you know what it turns out? They lost 2 pretty good teams. It wasn't the end of the year. And that's what this playoff thing, it doesn't, back not that many years ago, you lost 1 game and it was over. Now it's a little more fun. And it's the regular season, I don't know to you, it still feels as powerful as ever.
No, I mean, I watch all the games. I never bought into that the sky is falling nonsense. The bottom line is the portal has really helped the rest of the country because it was lopsided. The SEC had backup corners that were better than everybody else's starters. Well, Georgia and Bama now, Bama's struggling to keep up in the NIL. They don't have the money. I mean, they're begging their fans to chip in.
One theory I have, and I wrote this down yesterday, Vanderbilt, I mean, Brian Kelly, he has been passed now by Ole Miss and now Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, work them. That was a lopsided game. The score does not reflect what I watched. Nashville, does your daughter still live in Nashville?
Yeah.
Booming city. I mean, money is flowing there. Scottsdale, ASU just beat Texas Tech, who has a $28 million. These cities that are booming, before you need a booster, and you still do, right? If you're Texas Tech, you got this billionaire. If you're Oregon, you got this billionaire. But not all these universities are just going to have billionaires. Sometimes you're just going to need Scottsdale has all these corporations moving here. So the athletic department might not have individuals, but what if I can go to corporations and get them to be part of the program? So it's like Carvana or DoorDash or whoever in Nashville, all these hubs, you can start going to them. They're going to want to be involved in football. It's an advantage to be USC, these big cities. How is some of these podunk places? It's going to be a little difficult. I'm watching. Well, yeah, the school in Nashville is going to have advantages that Baton Rouge in the NIL is simply not going to have. Undeniable. So, Ohio State, a little bit of an outlier, some of these Big Ten schools, but some of these SEC schools, watch out for Vanderbilt because they're going to have money flowing into their program.
Yeah, and I mean, I made this prediction 3 years ago, and it may have been offensive, but I said in these small southern towns, sometimes your number 2 booster is a car dealer. And there's nothing wrong with being a BMW dealer. I own a BMW. I love BMW. But that shouldn't be your second richest donor if you're a top 8 college football program. It should be at Michigan, they have multiple billionaires and venture capitalists, and the Big Ten schools are bigger. They're just bigger universities, and they flood the zone. And then they circle back to their program. So this is something I said 3 years ago. It's one of the things I thought that would save the Pac-12. It didn't, but I thought it would, is the explosion, the NIL, because of all the Apple and Google Pac-12 kids. But the truth is, those aren't sports fans. They don't care about football. So a lot of those USC, UCLA grads, they don't give back to the program. But the Big Ten now is
Andrew Luck got $50 million from a guy. How many schools just have a guy that could just hand you $50 million?
It's insane. By the way, Stanford beat Florida State.
What a win.
It's crazy. Okay, I want to wrap with this. So I always thought the greatest athlete, not the most dominant. Serena's probably the most dominant, or Michael Phelps in swimming is the most dominant. Usain Bolt, but the greatest athlete I thought I'd ever seen was a guy named Carl Lewis. So Carl Lewis was in track and field. He was a very unique personality, not really appealing to the masses, I guess. But in 1984, he goes to the LA Olympics and he wins the 100 meter, the 200 meter, the long jump. I mean, winning any of those is sensational. He wins all of them, and he wins a 4x100. So he wins like 4 golds. Then he goes to Seoul in 88 and he mostly duplicates it. Then he goes to Barcelona in 92 and he mostly duplicates it. And forget the Pan Am Games or the Goodwill Games or the World Championships in Tokyo and Helsinki and Stuttgart and Rome or wherever they are. Then he comes back to Atlanta in 96, starts in 84, 96. I mean, there was just like a 12-year period. It was Pan Am, Goodwill, World Championships, Olympics. He was dominant in everything. And then I'm watching Ohtani Friday, and I'm like, Babe Ruth did not pitch and hit simultaneously. And remember, the split finger fastball kind of came into baseball in the 70s or 80s with Bruce Sutter. Remember Bruce Sutter? He pitched for the Cardinals and Cubs. He was a relief pitcher. He won a Cy Young. And he was the first guy to throw a split finger fastball. Babe Ruth didn't face that stuff. You know, those guys in the 20s and 30s and 40s, 50s, they weren't facing split finger fastball. For Ohtani to walk into this sport, to be a power hitter, to have that speed, to hit for average, to be a dominant ace. He may have one of the top 5 splitters in baseball. His fastball, he punches out Jackson Churio in the first inning at 100. All of his off-speed breaking stuff is above average. It's very good. Then he hits it out of the stadium. But I was sitting there watching, and I'm like, think how good Reggie Jackson was. I mean, Reggie Jackson was World Series MVPs, iconic, 550-plus home runs. Reggie Jackson was a terrible fielder, didn't run the bases, not a good teammate. I think Ohtani's the greatest athlete I've ever seen. I mean, Michael Jordan wasn't a great passer. He wasn't a great deep ball shooter. He was a great offensive mid-range player, relentless, and a great on-ball defender. But I'm watching Ohtani, and I'm like, he's a top 8 pitcher. I mean, he's a top base stealer when he wants to. I sat there watching, and I'm like, Jesus, to just be an elite pitcher, hell, guys can't stay healthy. Snell, Glasnow, Dodgers, nobody can stay healthy. I just, watching that game, I thought, this is the greatest single athlete I've ever seen in any sport. That was my take on it.
Well, it's definitely the greatest game that's ever been played. 10 strikeouts, 3 home runs in the NLCS. Like, that's something you see the kid in Little League that's going to be on all the travel teams that's 12 years old. You wouldn't even, you'd be hard-pressed to find that in high school. You know, I think LA this year had a couple guys that were drafted in the top 10, like high school players. I would be shocked because typically now that they focus on one, they're not playing both ways. So if the guy's an elite pitcher, he's just pitching. If the guy's an elite hitter, he's just playing shortstop. I vividly remember when he first started playing for Anaheim, because you had heard all this hype, and the Giants tried to sign him coming out of Japan. I didn't realize how tall and fast he was. And I remember like a ball that most power hitters do not make it to second. He not only made it to second, he was there with ease, and you went, holy shit. But you see that guy's, if Shohei Ohtani was born in Los Angeles or Dallas, Texas or something, he's probably a quarterback, right? Potentially. He's 6'5", 210 pounds. He's definitely playing a lot of different sports growing up. Who knows? Maybe basketball as well. I mean, maybe because he's athletically, he's an elite athlete. And that's you watch the Yankees, it's like all their players look the same. You watch I remember 2 years ago going to a spring training game with Maria, and we had really good seats. And I was like, I thought Mookie Betts is an outfielder, and he's playing short and second base. I'm like, this is insane. It's like this guy. I thought he played like right field and center field. He can play shortstop, and he had a play in the series that looked like Derek Jeter. It was like, so they're 2 best players. And I saw, Matt Money Smith. He called Charger games. Him and DJ came down. I played golf with him like last year, but I saw this clip that he posted interviewing Andrew Friedman, and he's like, "What do you say to everyone saying you just bought this team?" And he's like, "We play all these teams that have all these star players." And I see none of them out early, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You come out and you watch the Dodgers, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, all of our star players, Freddie Freeman, are doing extra work, like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Tiger Woods style. So it's like this isn't random. Their greatness. Obviously, they have freak talents, but like clearly from a team building standpoint, like really, they kind of got like a Patriot vibe going. Like they're all just.
Yes.
It's like this is a serious group. Now, obviously, Shohei, because he didn't pitch that well this year. Now, granted, he was coming back off the injury, but he's got to pitch like that and hit like that. It's like there's never been that home run. Listen, I'm a Giants fan at heart. That's a Barry Bonds level home run on the cream and the clear with Balco. I
Right.
mean, that was insane how far that ball. You can see it. Do you remember when Barry hit the ball against Anaheim in the '02 World Series? And I think Tim Salmon was in the dugout, and he mouthed, "That's the farthest ball I've ever seen hit." Obviously, Barry was kind of a mutant by then. The Dodgers' faces in the dugout all kind of had that vibe.
Oh,
Like
I
we've
know.
never seen a ball hit this far ever.
Yeah, it's just remarkable to watch him. And I've said this. I think the Dodgers are the best run organization in North America. Max Muncy, the A's cut him. I mean, Tommy Edman was a 260 hitter in St. Louis. He was a good fielder. Cardinals were like, we don't want to pay him. He was the NLCS MVP. I mean, Glasnow's always had good stuff, 6'7", but he can't stay healthy. So, I mean, there's no question they can roll. What the Dodgers' biggest advantage isn't just like, oh, Ohtani, because other teams could have paid for him. But great players want to play for the Dodgers because Ohtani comes up I-5 to the Dodgers. He has better people hitting in front of him and behind him. And the pressure isn't for him to go 4 for 4. Ohtani had a terrible series until that game Friday. He couldn't hit. So I think it's like one of these things. There's a reason five-star players want to go play for Ohio State or Georgia because you're surrounded by better players, right? And it's like if you're a great, like Freddie Freeman was playing for Atlanta, but it's like, look who's hitting in front of me. Look who's hitting behind me. You get better pitches.
Well, I would say this. You would say Ohtani and Mookie Betts. Manny and Poppy were incredible power, but neither of them could run. I mean, it's got to be, when you talk about all-around game, the two most talented players that have ever played together. I mean, how do you beat that offensively and defensively? You've seen a lot of these duos, 1-2, just mash. I bet, Mantle and Gehrig, if we go back to the history of the
Wow.
sport, but we've never seen two guys that are this good on defense, and one guy can pitch 10 strikeouts against a team that just won 97 games. It's not like he's playing a team that won 80 games. I mean, that team weren't the Brewers a powerhouse? Didn't they go like a month without losing a game?
They
They
swept the
couldn't, they
Dodgers
couldn't
this
touch
year,
him.
6-0 in the regular season. John Middlekauff, former NFL scout, his pod is 3 and out. We crushed. Let's go watch some football.
See ya.